What if the city you call home, the streets you know so well, the parks where your kids play, could vanish beneath rising waters and sinking land? It sounds like a scene from a sci-fi movie, but in 2025, this is a very real threat looming over many American cities. Experts warn that a combination of natural and human-driven factors is causing parts of our urban landscape to literally sink, while climate change pushes sea levels ever higher. The collision of these forces is creating a perfect storm, threatening to wash away some of the places where millions live, work, and dream. This isn't a distant future, it's happening right now. In the next 15 minutes, we'll journey through the top U.S. cities at risk, uncover why this is happening, what it means for you, and how humanity is fighting back. If you care about America's future, stay tuned, because this story affects us all. The science behind the sink. What is land subsidence? Let's start with the science. Land subsidence is the gradual sinking or settling of the Earth's surface. It happens naturally in some places, but human activity has turbocharged this process in many cities. Imagine the ground beneath you like a giant sponge filled with water. When that water is sucked out faster than nature can replace it, through wells pumping groundwater for homes, farms, and industry, the sponge compresses and the surface sinks. Houston, Texas provides a stark example. Over decades of explosive growth, the city has pumped so much groundwater that parts are sinking over a centimeter per year, fast enough to cause serious damage to roads, pipelines, and buildings. But Houston is just one piece of a bigger puzzle. Across the U.S., from the West Coast to the East Coast, subsidence is threatening urban stability. The danger is not only the sinking itself, but what it means when combined with rising sea levels. When a city's elevation drops while the ocean climbs, flooding becomes more frequent, more destructive, and far harder to manage. Houston, Texas, America's fastest sinking city. Houston isn't just sinking, it's practically disappearing inch by inch. The city's sprawling suburbs, home to millions, are vulnerable because of their proximity to the Gulf of Mexico and the heavy groundwater pumping that fuels Houston's water demands. After Hurricane Harvey flooded the city in 2017, scientists found that the sinking land made drainage slower and flooding worse, turning storms into disasters. What's terrifying is that many Houstonians don't realize their neighborhoods are sinking below sea level. Roads buckle, houses crack, and storm drains can't keep up. The city is investing billions in new infrastructure, including massive reservoirs and storm barriers. But experts warn it may be a race against time. San Francisco's sinking legacy. Now picture San Francisco, a city famous for its hills and iconic Golden Gate Bridge. But beneath the surface, much of the city is slowly sinking. Some areas as much as 2 inches per year. The cause? Decades of groundwater pumping, construction, and the fact that San Francisco sits on soft, compressible bay mud. This sinking threatens the city's waterfront piers, essential for shipping and tourism, and even the subway system that millions rely on. Imagine the BART tunnels flooding regularly, or parts of Fisherman's Wharf slipping into the bay. It sounds like science fiction, but for San Francisco, it could become reality within decades. New Orleans, a city fighting to stay above water. No discussion of sinking U.S. cities is complete without New Orleans. This city is a front line in the battle against subsidence and climate change. Built largely below sea level, New Orleans has sunk by up to 10 feet in some places over the last century due to oil extraction and wetland drainage. The devastating impact was clear during Hurricane Katrina in 2005, when levee failures in sinking land caused massive flooding and loss of life. Since then, the city has built some of the world's most advanced flood defenses, but the threat hasn't gone away. Rising seas and sinking ground mean New Orleans is fighting a constant battle, and the stakes couldn't be higher for residents. Other cities at risk, Miami, Portland, and more Miami, faces a similar crisis. Known for its sunny beaches and vibrant culture, Miami is sinking as groundwater is pumped for drinking water and irrigation. Its porous limestone foundation allows seawater to seep underground, worsening flooding even on sunny days, a phenomenon called sunny day flooding. Portland, Oregon, while less famous for sinking, is experiencing subsidence linked to sediment compaction. This is especially worrying because it threatens historic neighborhoods and key infrastructure. Even cities inland, like parts of Pennsylvania and the Great Plains, are facing subsidence due to resource extraction and changing land use, reminding us that this problem isn't just coastal. Part 6, the human toll. What does sinking mean for people? When land sinks, it's not just about the ground, it's about people's lives. Flooded basements, damaged homes, rising insurance costs, and declining property values all hit families hard. Vulnerable communities often suffer the most because they have fewer resources to adapt or relocate. Imagine living with the constant fear that your home might flood at the next storm, or that your neighborhood might become uninsurable. Schools, hospitals, and businesses face risks too, disrupting daily life and the economy. The mental health impact can't be ignored either. Anxiety and stress rise when the future feels uncertain, and displacement uproots families and communities. Economic impact and infrastructure challenges. Beyond personal hardship, sinking cities face enormous economic costs. Repairing roads, bridges, water, and sewer systems that crack under shifting soil drains municipal budgets. Flooded transit tunnels and disrupted supply chains ripple through the economy. Insurance companies, sensing rising risks, are pulling back or raising rates, making it harder for residents and businesses to recover after floods. Investors might shy away from real estate in sinking areas, creating urban decay and loss of tax revenue. The cost of inaction could be staggering. Some estimates place the bill in the hundreds of billions nationwide over coming decades if current trends continue. Solutions and innovations, fighting back against the sink. Despite the grim outlook, cities and scientists aren't standing still. Advanced satellite technology now allows detailed tracking of land movement in near real time, helping cities prioritize areas for action. Houston is investing in surface water projects to reduce groundwater pumping, while Miami is developing living shorelines using natural wetlands to absorb floods. New Orleans has built massive levees and pumping stations to keep water out. Urban planners are redesigning infrastructure to be flexible and resilient. Think roads and pipes that can bend with the earth rather than crack. Some cities are considering managed retreat, relocating residents from the most vulnerable zones before disasters strike. Innovative approaches like green infrastructure, parks and wetlands that absorb water naturally, are also gaining traction, helping cities fight floods while improving quality of life. What you can do: individual and community actions. You might wonder, what can I do if I live in or near a sinking city? First, stay informed about local risks and support community efforts to build resilience. Know your flood zones, prepare emergency kits, and have an evacuation plan. Advocate for sustainable water use and infrastructure investment. Reducing personal water consumption and supporting policies that combat climate change make a difference. On a larger scale, voter engagement is crucial. Elect leaders who prioritize climate action and urban resilience, because these decisions shape our city's futures. Reflection and call to action. The sinking of American cities is one of the most pressing challenges of our time, touching millions of lives and shaping the future of our nation. It reminds us that our environment and the way we use it are deeply interconnected. But it's also a story of hope, of science, innovation, and human resilience rising to meet a crisis. By understanding the threat and supporting smart solutions, we can protect our cities, preserve our communities, and ensure that the places we love don't vanish beneath the waves. The time to act is now, because the ground beneath us won't wait. If this video gave you new insight into the hidden dangers facing America's cities, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into issues that matter. Together we can learn, prepare, and protect our future.